Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys. Joined tonight with Goose, myself, Brent. We're in the mortgage business. We love talking Vikings football, so we started a show. Normally have our buddy Tanner on. He couldn't be on tonight, but we wanted to recap that Broncos game that left us all maybe a little bit frustrated, look ahead a little bit to the Bears game, and just an overall kind of reassessment of where we're at, Goose. 11 games in, 6-5 overall. Sitting a lot better off than we thought we would probably be after Kirk went down, and for sure after the miserable start that started off the 2023 campaign. So tell you what, if you're joining us for the first time, if you've not hit subscribe, go ahead and hit that button. If you like to talk Vikings football, if you like stats, if you like bold predictions that are very rarely correct, you're in the right place. So hit subscribe. We'd love to have you join us. Throw some comments on there. We'd love to address those on the episodes as well. So Goose, we'll jump right into it. Vikings fall short, 21-20. We're a couple days removed from the outcome. I don't know about you. I guess I do know about you. I know we were both pretty frustrated, I guess, with how it went. Just kind of left it was a blah Monday with no sunshine, and just about what could have been, I guess, is really probably the best way to summarize it. Turnovers bit us again. Maybe some questionable play calling, and the Madison production and fumbling probably the number one talker right now. So Goose, you've had a couple days to digest. What are your overall thoughts on the game, the squad, where we're at, and where we go from here?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about these games this season because I feel like a broken record. It's the same things over and over again. The positive part about that is last year there was a lot of mystery to when we didn't come out and play well, and it was just kind of like, what's happening and are we any good? This year I still feel like, no, granted, turnovers are part of the game and that's something you need to clean up, but I still feel like a team hasn't beaten us. I just feel like when we've lost, it's been us beating ourselves. There's a lot of really good moral victories, even though a lot of people say those don't count.
Which they don't.
Yeah. But the amount of times that, and maybe there's not that many, but it feels like there's been like 4 or 5 this year where our offense turned the ball over. Someone makes like Ty Chandler, for example, in this Broncos game, makes a tackle on the 10, 15-yard line, and the defense holds them to 3 points, which is such a momentum builder and impressive for the defense to do that. Now, I think eventually it wears on them a little bit, but with the defense playing the way that they are right now, one, you can go as far as they'll take you in this league if you can hold any offense to the scores that they've been holding defenses to. But it makes it that much more important to take care of the ball and limit possessions. And we've been inconsistent with doing that this year. Even in our wins, I was talking a little bit about opportunities for turnovers that we lucked out on, and it's catching us. So you got to take the good and the bad when you're on the Dobbs train. I love how exciting he is. He's a lot of fun, but he's going to turn the ball over. He's got more fumbles than anyone this year. So that is going to continue to happen. It's just whether or not he can make enough electric plays to offset that.
Both his touchdowns, though, I mean, those were super fun to watch. We're not used to that, right?
Right. So you got to take the good and the bad. I don't think you can cherry pick, being upset and then saying bench him, and then the next game saying he's our franchise guy. Like, you have to either accept that he is going to have the highs and the lows, just like a Josh Allen, or, I mean, really any quarterback that's super exciting, they're going to have fumbles and interceptions because they're trying to make these crazy plays. So you kind of have your polar opposites. You've got Kirk Cousins, who he'll have turnovers too, but he's going to be maybe more conservative, maybe take a sack, and that's frustrating as can be. But he's going to be really accurate. He's going to normally take care of the ball and maybe be too conservative. And then you've got your Dobbs of the world, who's going to take crazy chances and be really fun to watch, but then maybe make you bang your head on the wall because he's seems careless sometimes or turns the ball over too often. So it's hard to talk about. It's the same things. It's turnovers, it's personnel, and why does it feel like the average fan can say, why is so and so getting touches? And then a guy like Dean Lowry gets injured, and it seems like we play better when he's not on the field, but when he's healthy, he just keeps running back out there. And Madison, it's like there must be something that none of us understand, but on the field, it seems like all the fans are right. And that's scary when
Do you think, Goose, we exchanged a couple texts right after that fumble, and then it's like Chandler has to be in the rest of the game, right? And then he came out and then attempted to put a block on a blitzer, and maybe a little bit of disagreement there. He slowed him down enough. Dobbs still gets hit on the throw. It's an interception. I think that was like the very next play, or for sure the very next series, a couple plays in at most. And I'm wondering, like, is that a bigger thing than maybe you or I or most fans give credit to, like pass blocking in general, and not even being in the right spot, but really being able to lay a good block? Is that something that Madison is better at than we give credit for, or is that just an excuse?
I'm sure it's part of it. Madison's a bigger back, and so naturally he's going to be able to stand his ground a little bit better. Chandler did get some a positive call out from the announcers earlier in the game about a blitz that he picked up, and that Dobbs didn't even flinch because he knew he was going to do it. So it's hard. It wasn't a perfect blitz protection. I just thought, like, it wasn't just your text. Like, the internet was like, oh, well, that's why. Like, we found out. But like, he plugged the right hole, took him on, and he just kind of got overpowered. And I think I mean, Christian Darrisaw lets guys by sometimes.
Yeah,
So
for
for
sure.
a running back to hit the hole and to just get overpowered a little bit, there's got to be a little where he's not going to successfully put that linebacker on his butt every time. So it's both for sure.
You'd like to think that works itself out, hopefully through the bye week, if nothing else. And yeah, if he touches the ball more, the eye test, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. He passes the eye test with that extra burst. Let me ask you this. So turnovers has been a huge problem, obviously. If you've watched this team at all this year, we know that. Would you rather have the turnovers and be this far into the season, knowing that probably regresses a little bit to the mean, right? It should average itself out over time. Or would you rather have, if you watched that Chiefs game last night, they just can't catch the ball a lot of times. I think they lead the league in drops with like 26, I want to say, and I don't know what's technically a drop and what's not. But would you rather have the turnovers, or would you rather have the problem the Chiefs have right now?
I mean, turnovers seem more fixable. It's just hard to say that week after week after week and not fix it. But yeah,
We're gonna be sitting here week 17 going, all right, we used them all up.
We're gonna fix those turnovers and we'll win the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's I still think I'd take that, but it's the lesser of two evils. There's definitely not a great option there.
Right. So, okay, turnovers, we obviously we know that's a huge issue. I was reading an article right before we jumped on to record here tonight from Will Raggett's SI.com, been on the show, friend of the show, you might say. But he wrote an article that I thought was spot on, and it was basically turnovers is really all that I mean, that is let's see the headline. It all comes down to turnover margin for the 2023 Vikings. And you can say that most years about any team, but 5-0 when we either win or tie on the turnover battle in a game, and 1-5 when we lose the turnover battle. And the lone victory there was the Panthers game where the defense actually had a touchdown. So the crazy thing is, every one of these losses, even when we lose the turnover battle, even by the turnover battle by 3 on Sunday night, they're all one-score games. So they're very, very close. So that's, I think, what we're all seeing, and what you and I see too, is there's so much potential. Like, this team is so much better than last year's team. The defense is so much better. JJ's obviously been hurt, been winning without him, but obviously they're a better team with him on the field. So I think that's why we're still so optimistic. Like, things could drastically improve. They probably could have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 losses at most if they just hold on to the ball a little bit better. But yeah, moral victories, like you said earlier, it makes us maybe feel a little bit better, but obviously you still have 5 losses. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your level of optimism, I guess, going into the last stretch of the season here?
It's still high, just because again, it doesn't feel like they've really flat out like lost a game this year, and so when any game is winnable in a year where it seems like there's just so much like the Chiefs could go out and not look great, and the Eagles are just fighting tooth and nail in every single victory, but they're winning, so they'll hit their stride. But it seems as winnable as ever, especially in the NFC where there's not a lot of competition. And as always, it's all about getting into the playoffs, and whoever is hot and healthy is going to have a real good chance to make a run. So it's you know it's going to be interesting. I'm optimistic though.
I really
It's
wish the Eagles would have lost last night. I would much, much rather play in Dallas at a playoff game than play in Philadelphia. Much rather play in Detroit than San Francisco. So I
yeah.
don't know, just overly simplifying it at this point.
Yeah. One thing I think is interesting is, I mean, Ty Chandler definitely deserves more carries. I was curious as we were recording, and I was like, okay, let's take away Ty Chandler's 31-yard fake punt, and that gives him 42 yards on 9 carries, excluding the fake punt, which puts him at about 4.6 yards a carry, and Madison was at 4.5. So they had pretty similar games against a tough
But don't you feel
team.
like that's Madison's like ceiling? Like he is not going to
Absolutely,
pop off. He's not going to pop off a 50-yard touchdown run ever. That's just not
for
happening.
sure. If it were up to me and I was calling the plays, I think I would have just flipped that box score. Like Ty Chandler 18 carries, Alexander Madison 10.
Yeah, sounds about right. Like we could negotiate and settle on that. So
Yeah.
you get KOC on the phone. I would like to talk to him about decision making in first half. Okay, we can point to the turnovers. That's the easy thing, and I think
Yeah.
we've talked about this before. It's always after a game. It's like, well, we just need to point to one thing, and that's the reason why. If we fix that one thing, then everything's great, right?
Yeah.
But I still wonder. I love KOC as a coach, but is he just too scared or conservative sometimes? And now the flip side of the coin, I'm going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Denver's offense did not look good at all. So it's like, don't give them any sign of optimism. But really bugged me, I guess, in the first half, we had moved like 25, 26 yards. It's 4th and 1 with like a minute and change to go. We're at the 48-yard line of Denver, right?
Yeah.
I think they said on the broadcast analytics say go for it. I don't know if I don't know if I'm always an analytics guy or not, but in that case, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we punted it into the end zone for a touchback. So we netted
Mhm.
28 yards. 2 plays later, they're back at, I think it was the 47-yard line. I had to look it up. And then they go down because at that point, it feels like you're always just giving them a little chunks, but trying to bend, don't break. Even
Yeah.
that's not Flores in general, but we end up giving up a field goal rather than potentially getting a field goal or a touchdown. You could actually point to we could have put them away a lot earlier. So my question, Goose, is can we remove the scoreboards in any sense of what the game is like for KOC? Because if he is tied or behind, super aggressive. He gets a
Yeah.
lead, it's like Mike Zimmer comes back out a little bit. So am I
Yeah.
overreacting or do you feel the same way?
No, I feel the same way. And there's a chance that he's he's I don't know, with our current offense, that he maybe has a little less confidence than I feel like with Kirk, with JJ, he probably goes for that. Um, it
Could
didn't
be.
seem like any wide receivers were getting any separation. It was like TJ Hawkinson
But
or
here's where it's Denver and you're running the ball and
yeah,
you've got Dobbs, you can sneak it up the middle. You could even have Hawkinson take the snap and go straight forward.
for sure.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
just feel like if you're going to run and you're going to be able to pick up a short 4th down against any team, Denver's the
yeah,
place you're going to be able to do it. And then
for
2 plays
sure.
later to be back where you started, it just, I don't know, it's frustrating.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I like to think that KOC is a progressive enough coach where he's kind of
Okay.
gathering all of these scenarios and
Impromptu, bold prediction. We're going to nail this at the 15-minute mark so you can reference it back here. The rest of the season, You've got 6 games left to go. How many 2-score victories do you envision, and what should happen? Because I feel like we both think there should be more. My gut tells me we maybe win 1 by 2 scores, and we probably should be able to win about 3 of these by 2 scores.
Yeah. So 9 or more. Gosh, you're right. We really should be able to. I mean, Packers should be very doable at home. Bengals without Joe Burrow should be doable. Raiders with Aiden O'Connell should be doable. And Bears, even though they're trending upwards a little bit, should be doable. So that's 4 where it's pretty reasonable. I can't stop but being optimistic. I'll say 3, and that's just crazy for me to say, but
So say that one more time. The Vikings will win 3 of their final 6 games by 2 scores or more.
by 9 or more points. Yeah.
The only 2-score victory we've had all year was in Green Bay, and we were in no mood to celebrate after that one, right? That should have been fun.
It's going to happen.
We are allowed to just blow some teams out. Like the Cowboys do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think we're a better team than the Cowboys. Anyway, we turn the ball over too much, so we got to stop doing that. Goose, I got some stats for you while we got a few minutes here. Is there anything more to rehash on the Broncos game, or are we moving on? I feel like if you're going to lose a game, an AFC West game, it's probably a good one to lose. Not that you want to lose any of them.
Well, I think I feel like I probably know your answer because I think on the surface, it's like an asinine thing to bring up, and it seems reactionary. But if you're KOC, would you at all consider Jaren Hall? Are you riding Dobbs to the end?
I saw enough with Dobbs on those 2 touchdowns that there's something there. Now, he did almost throw probably 3 or 4 potential interceptions, but I don't know what it is. Turnovers are the same. I would much rather see an interception than a fumble. Fumbles are just so I know they're the same, but they're just
at least an interception where the wide receiver had a legitimate chance. When they're bad interceptions, it feels like a fumble to me. But if you give a good 50-50 ball and the wide receiver just doesn't.
But you know what's really frustrating is when the defender brushes the running back's arm and they fumble it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the snaps, like, oh, that's just sloppy. All right, Goose. You probably already know these. If you do, I'm just gonna be impressed. 1 out of 32. Where do the Vikings rank through 11 games in points per game scored?
12.
11th.
Not bad.
And I just have them. I don't have who's in front of them or behind them or whatever. So total yards per game.
9th.
10th. Passing yards per game.
6th.
3rd. 280 yards a game passing.
Yeah, I should have guessed higher.
That's legit. All right, rushing yards per game. This is probably improved with Dobbs on the team, honestly, and the Denver game.
I'd imagine.
It's not great. I'll tell you, we're not in the top 10, if that helps out.
No, yeah. Gosh, there's some bad teams out there. Is the only reason I'm even hesitating. I'll say 21st.
28th, 93.8 yards a game.
I knew we weren't getting in the end zone, but the yards, that's brutal.
Time of possession, middle of the pack, 17th. Points allowed, 15th. Total yards.
Points allowed, I thought we would have been ranked higher.
No, we're at 20.9, which we were right on average for Denver then, too, with the 21. Rushing yards against per game. What do we, as a defense, what do we allow? Where are we? Where do we rank? Rushing yards.
6th at like 85.
7th. Can you imagine after that Philadelphia game thinking we would be talking about 7th in the league on rush D? Sacks, interceptions right in the middle. So, Goose, a couple more here for you. Individual stats. Just for reference, Kirk Cousins' completion percentage was 69.5 when he went down. Where do you think Josh Dobbs is at right now?
64.
65.6. So not bad. All right. Our RB1. This is a layup for you. I get you started here. Touchdowns on the season.
How many are ranking?
How many?
0.
Correct. What is he averaging yards per attempt?
3.7.
Nailed it. All right. What's Ty Chandler averaging yards per attempt?
4.4.
4.8. But again, that fake punt kind of pads that a little bit.
Yeah,
But
he's got
still,
2 of them.
4.8.
2 fake punts this year.
Two. One was a home run. One was a nice little single. So
Yeah.
I was going to say one other thing here. Oh, Greg Joseph. We talk about this guy when he fails quite a bit, but we haven't talked about him a ton this year. So he's actually not. I don't think he's doing too bad.
No.
But field goal percentage overall. I don't even know what league average is. I would guess it's probably 85% league average. What do you think his is?
On just field goals?
Yep.
Gosh. 88?
Nope, 77.
Eesh.
Extra points, 26 to 28. 50 yards plus. Even 40 yards plus. Actually, we'll go 40 yards plus. Give me a percentage of what he makes on those.
50.
Yep. He's 2 of 4 from 40 to 49 and 3 of 6, 50 plus.
Yeah.
I think that's where the frustration comes in. You want that to be a little bit higher. So
Yeah.
yeah, not a whole lot else there to talk about stats wise. So well, Goose, Monday Night Football, got the Bears. I don't know. Question for you. Thursday, Packers Lions. Do you watch that game? Do you not watch it? Do you want the Lions to win because it's the Packers, or do you want the Packers? Or are we cheering for a tie? Like, what's a Vikings fan to do on Thanksgiving early window?
Yeah. Gotta watch it. Gotta watch all the football on Thursday. And I think you have to watch. It's crazy, but I think you have to root for the Packers.
You kind of do, don't you? Like the Packers are not. I was telling Griffin for reference is my 9-year-old son, and he knows that we do not ever pull for the Packers. And I was like, Griffin, you know what actually would be great is if they win about 8 games, they
Yeah.
don't get a good draft pick, and then they're just stuck with Love and the rest. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that plays out. It feels a little early to be scoreboard watching, but it kind of feels like the playoffs are almost a given. I should not put that on record because now we can reference it back. It feels like the playoffs are a given. It feels like the division's kind of a long shot, and it feels like we're just maybe jockeying for who we're going to be facing here in a couple months. So I don't know. Any final thoughts on what to look forward to for this weekend? We'll do probably another one here before the Bears game on Monday night.
Yeah, we'll do another one. So not a lot. Just ready for some Thanksgiving football and I guess we'll all anxiously wait for the next JJ update. I assume he's made it this close to the bye week that he's probably gonna take another game off and maybe there will be a contract announcement in there somewhere. But
that'd be nice. You get healthy
who
in a
knows?
hurry.
Yeah. Hamstring feels real good.
Well, hopefully, get a win going into the bye. Are you still all in on Dobbs, or do you want Hall? I didn't even follow that up when you asked that ridiculous question.
I hate to even propose it because I do like Dobbs a lot. The only reason I would consider Jaron Hall is I think with this team's defense, it's more important to take care of the ball. Jaron Hall's still got the athletic ability, and he just seems like a little bit more of a Dobbs Kirk hybrid that I'd be excited about what that could be and maybe being a better fit for how this team needs to win games. But I think if I were KOC, I'd be too worried to make the switch because the thing about Jaron Hall is he's unknown and he's a rookie and a mid round rookie at that. That if it doesn't work and now you have to go back to Dobbs and be like, oh, you're our guy again. Like I think it's too messy to do it.
I
But
don't think there's any
emotions
way
and
that would happen.
strategy aside, I would be really intrigued to see Jaron Hall get a real shot with this team just because I think his play style might be better.
You know what would be great? Blow out a team, get up by 26 points in the third quarter, and then have him some mop-up time, and we can see how he looks then. I'd be all
Yeah.
for that.
You win a job in mop-up time.
I'm just saying, let's just build a lead. If Dobbs picked up 2 first downs the other night, we'd be on this huge hype train, and it didn't
Yeah.
work out that way. So I think it's way too early to pull the plug there, but it'll be fun to watch it unfold for sure.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. You got any comments for us? Leave them below. We'd love to address them on the next show. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you again here before the Bears game.